Hello, everyone. This is week number 10 of my 52-week challenge to do weekly LinkedIn live streams. Made it to double digits. I can't believe it. It's week number 10 here. I have Joon Kim here. I've connected with him on LinkedIn last year. Awesome person, totally positive person, which is part of the discussion we're going to have today. So Joon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to have you here. I'm here in California. I know you're in Korea right now, so I appreciate you working the time difference with us here. How are things over there in Korea?
Things are pretty good. I mean, like in pandemic wise, like I can definitely go outside and yeah, things have settled down, but like still it's like okay. It's similar to I guess other places, but it's not lockdown or anything. But yeah, you can go exploring and stuff. So it's all good. By the way, congratulations on the 10 episode. That's super exciting. That's
Yeah,
huge.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
of
I
course.
just looked at my LinkedIn live schedule for this month, and out of the four I have this month, three of the guests are international. So thanks for being my first international guest here on my LinkedIn live series.
You bet. Thanks for having me again.
So yeah, in the comments, share where you're from. I'm here in California. Joon here is in Korea, and let's see where people are. So yeah, Maria's asking, what time is it there in Korea?
It's 10 a.m. I know how rude of Steven, right? Booking times like during the week. I'm just kidding. I'm the one that chose this, so it's all good.
Yeah, all good. So, Joon, I'll give you a couple minutes here to let you introduce yourself to the people who are watching.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Joon Kim. Originally from a small island called American Samoa. Came to the U.S. when for university and then worked in finance for 6 years. Now I'm on a coaching journey, an entrepreneurship journey where I help ambitious corporate professionals get out of overwhelm, burnout cycles, lack of time to achieve more, doing less while growing their entrepreneurial projects and focusing on what matters. So that's what I'm up to right now. And yeah, just kind of like taking a day at a time, doing my best to support people and have fun along the process and meet cool people like you on LinkedIn.
Very cool. And yeah, thanks, Erica, for joining. I just connected with you today, and Joon is the only mutual connection we have between us here. So yeah, thanks for joining from South America. I like to start all of my LinkedIn lives with an icebreaker. I call it Two Truths and a Lie. So I'm going to go first, share my two truths and a lie. I have Joon guess, I have the viewers guess, and then I'll share it, and I'll let Joon, you share your two truths and a lie here. So I'll go first. Number one, I've never been to Disneyland. Number two, I'm double jointed. And number three, I can play the piano. So I'll put this on the screen here. One of these is a lie. Put in the comments what number you think is the lie.
Do I get to guess or should we wait
go
for the
ahead.
audience?
Yeah, share your thoughts here.
I don't think you can play a piano.
You don't think I can play the piano?
Actually, I feel like you mentioned this before now that I think about it. Yeah, I'm still just going to go with that. First choice.
Okay, anyone in the comments guess which one do you think is the lie here? All right, so we got some guesses here. First of all, I just want to highlight Joon. We got two Joons here. Happy Friday to you, Joon. Oh, wow, we got a bunch of people who don't think I am double jointed. Wow, okay. What was your guess again, Joon? You think it was number two as well?
No, I said three.
You said three? You don't think I can play the piano? I think Elizabeth agrees with you here.
Yes. Yes, it's three.
So I'm going to share my lie here. My lie is everyone's completely wrong for like the fifth week in a row. I have been to Disneyland, so that is my lie.
You've never been to Disneyland?
Yeah. So since I have been to Disneyland, that one's a lie.
I read that wrong. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay, yeah. Okay,
so,
good for you. 5 weeks in a row.
I'm a little exaggerating here, but more people get it wrong than right. So I want to get the day where like everyone gets it right perfectly, but it hasn't happened yet. So yes, I do play the piano, Joon, and I am double jointed a little bit here. I don't know if I want to show it on camera here. People are curious, but yep, I am double jointed a little bit. Okay, gotta put this up, put me on the spot here, Joon. My favorite Joon spelled like that is Joon, and then the one with two O's is my guest here on my LinkedIn Live. So everyone, both of my Joons, both of you guys are my favorites.
Great question.
All right, Joon, go ahead. Do you want to share your two truths and a lie?
Yeah, so the first one is I competed in an archery tournament in the South Pacific Games when I was in high school. The second one is I ran a half marathon. The third one is I've meditated 12 plus hours for 7 consecutive days.
Okay, so this is what Joon shared here. Really, really good two truths and a lie here. Really, really specific here. Man, this is a tough one. I have ran a half marathon before, so I usually use that as a truth, and that gets people tricked. So I feel like that might be a truth. Let me see. People who's watching here, guess which one do you think is a lie? Archery tournament, the South Pacific Games, and man, there's all this active sport-related ones here. This is tough. I think number 3 is true because it's so specific. It has to be true. So sorry, Drew, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I'm not that like athletic, FYI, people. I was not born with that gene.
Oh, are you hinting at something here? Are you thinking? Do you think Elizabeth has it right here that the half marathon is a lie? Let's see here. Maria thinks the archery. Oops. Maria thinks the archery one is the lie. Same with Erica here. All right, let me put this back on the screen. Give people a couple more seconds to guess. Well, you did say you're not very athletic, Joon, so I'm going to go with number 2. I think you have not ran a half marathon.
So, am I allowed to answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Which one's the lie here?
So the lie is number 2. So I have trained for it, and I actually trained on a treadmill, but I just never ran it. Yeah. So I have done it, but just not. I've never competed. But number 1 is true. I used to practice archery, do archery, and then I competed in the South Pacific Games. Yeah. That's like back in the days, though.
Tell me more about the meditation thing.
The meditation. I went on a meditation retreat. This is probably. So I started meditating in 2016. That's when like I just got started, super new, and then I would consistently like meditate for during the weekends and stuff like that. I went to a center, so it was a guided meditation, and then there was a point where they would have retreats where it's an intensive, long meditation process. I don't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks. That's the one thing I don't remember. So I just went with the Leloba, the conservative. That's why it's 7 days. But it's just a thing that you do, and you're just sitting in meditating for like the whole day, and honestly just eating, showering, doing the basic things, and then you just sleep. And everything else is just meditating. So it's pretty intense. It really just makes you become aware of a lot of stuff that's coming up in your head. At the same time, there's some like pretty cool experiences that you go through that process, especially when you're in that type of intensive state. Yeah. So
wow,
yeah, it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah, that sounds super intense. It's probably much harder than doing a half marathon. At least that's over like 2 or 3 hours. You're doing this for 12 hours straight. So no, thanks for sharing that. That was very cool. So yeah, so let's just go right into our topic here. Let me go hide this thing. Yeah, let's go straight into our topic here. You are, the CEO, founder of Happy Successful Asians. You want to just share a little bit, how do you develop a happy mindset, and why is that so important?
Yeah, for at least I'm a big believer, and there's also a saying that, when it comes, a lot of us, like we go for success, right? And that's important, but like we have this belief that success creates happiness, but I'm a believer that like happiness creates success. And what that really means is at the end of the day, like it goes back to feelings, because, I think a lot of us, we pursue external goals to hit an internal emotional target, and it definitely goes up and down, but the most important thing is to strive for that, right? And I think one of the pitfalls that we have is like let's say, aim for a specific target, and that target constantly changes, right? And this is what we kind of spoke into, where it's great to aspire for big things. I think there's nothing wrong. It's a part of our like human nature to like be ambitious, sometimes want more and grow, and that's wonderful. But at the same time, it's really important to make sure that you're able to enjoy the journey, right? Because that's where we spend majority of our time. Now, like the most important thing I feel like when it comes to that is when it comes to like happiness, the the one thing I want to share is like when you're happy, that doesn't mean you're going to be happy 24/7. I think that's kind of a misconception that some people might have, right? Life goes up and down, and I think that's just a part of it. But when I really like kind of explain it in terms of happiness, I think it can be deconstructed into like two things. Like one, there are universal principles that like we can all share, right? Meaning like gratitude, that's not something that's such a simple practice, but like literally I feel like that is like the potion to like fulfillment, honestly, if there's one simple thing, because there's a saying like what you appreciate appreciates, and if you can't appreciate what's here at this moment, then you'll never be able to appreciate what you eventually have. And I think that's where a lot of people like kind of struggle, right? Because they've never developed this mindset to really appreciate what's here. Because when you start putting your attention there, that's what expands, and that's what you see, right? Having said that, that's kind of like universal fundamentals, but there's also other things that are important where it's really important to figure out what happiness and success means for you, right? And I think this is something that a lot of people don't take time to reflect, because it's just not something that we do on a normal basis. We're not told to do that. So it's a little weird, to be honest, but it's very important. So like that's why people have different curiosities. That's why people have different hobbies, and everyone is very unique in their own ways. So it's really important to find what that means for you, right? And really integrating these two worlds together so that you can maximize like your experience of happiness and fulfillment too, right? Because when you're happy, like it's not just about feeling good. It is about feeling good, but what that allows you to do is to show up for your day-to-day life in every aspect of your life so much better, right? It's from like a job standpoint, a relationship standpoint, from a personal standpoint, because when you feel good, you produce great outcomes. If you feel happy, you produce like happy outcomes. And if you feel like crappy, you produce crappy outcomes. So like, and there's also saying, success without like fulfillment is like the ultimate failure. Right. So it's really important. I feel like fundamentally, I'm a big believer that life is an inside job. Like you really have to work on your inside game, and naturally everything will kind of attract the right things towards you when you start developing that type of mindset.
Yeah, no, you touched on so many excellent points there. I kind of want to go through each of them one by one. I think the first important thing you said was, you want to be happy. Success doesn't make you happy. It's that journey that makes you happy. And I think a good analogy is, first of all, like, what does success mean, right? That's just hard to lock down, right? So you can say, oh, success is I make $100,000 a year. Well, let's say you worked your way up to 100,000. Are you like fully happy then? No, because then are you happy at 200,000, 300, 500? So what does that mean, right? So that's very hard to define. So I think it's definitely about that journey, and because success is just such a loose term that you just can't lock it down. But as you go through that journey to self-improve, to grow, to get better, to do whatever you're working on, you learn a lot throughout the way. And with my 52-week challenge with videos, with my now LinkedIn Live 52-week challenge, I'm learning throughout the way, and it's I definitely agree with you there.
By the way, really just celebrating you so much in terms of how far you've come, like in relation to this whole LinkedIn journey. It's actually quite incredible, because both you and I are really like shy and introverted by nature, right? But we just had to overcome that hump. But I really love that you're speaking into like this moving target, right? Because there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a part of our wiring. It's the reason we're here today having this conversation, meaning we are incredible adaptation machines, right? Once we start getting to some level, we are naturally going to look for the next big thing. And that's why we've gotten to this point. But it's really important to figure out how to intercept that, how to play against that, so that you're not tying everything to that outcome. Because when you get there, you can celebrate that too, but also celebrating the process of getting there too, right? So both of those are really important. I think when a lot of people might mess up, and this happened to me too, right? Like I screwed up big time, where everything was about just that end destination, and I was completely forgetting about that journey. So it's really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another thing you touched on, we went through a couple of Zoom sessions last year, and then you were talking about, well, what makes you happy? What does success mean to you? And I'm like, man, June, you're asking me all these tough questions, but it's just like you said, it's just questions that normally we don't answer, but it's extremely important, in our journey to become successful, or to become whoever we want to be. So, and just thinking, when you're saying that, it's just, well, like you said, happiness, you don't have to be happy 24/7, but I think it's a lot about mindset and your outlook. And with 2020, with the pandemic, 2020, yes, it was a rough year for everyone. But I had to put it in perspective, right? So I lost all my projects right before the pandemic. So I'm doing work that I didn't want to do. And then, we got hit by the pandemic, and we were shelter in place. And I'm thinking, man, this sucks. But, I got to look at the positive side. I got to be optimistic here and think, okay, what is 3 months or what is 6 months out of my entire career of not doing what I want to do, right? This is just a little blip, little like roadblock, a little hurdle along the way. And hey, I still have a job. There's a lot of people out there who don't have a job, who got laid off. So I think just by having that mindset, and that really helped get me through last year. And I always have that positive, always have that optimistic mindset. Yes, there's times where I'm down, but just overall, I do have a positive mood.
And
thank
that's
you.
so
Thank
important.
you for your comments here. Yeah, journey is important too, right?
Yeah.
It's not just doing it, and success is definitely profound. So, yeah. So, Joon, do you want to share a little bit more about why is success a journey, right? Why is the journey so important and not like a specific goal?
Yeah, this goes back to like that's the place where we spend majority of our time, right? It's like you want to enjoy the process of playing the game as opposed to winning the game, if that makes sense. The winning the game is fun, but let's say like goals. This goes back to it's episodic, right? Let's say you achieve a specific goal, and that moment of feeling like excited, happy, and celebrating like happens for, let's say 5% of the 100% of that journey, right? So 95% of the time, let's say like you're miserable and you're not feeling great, then I wouldn't necessarily define that as like living a like happy and fulfilling like whatever that means for you, right? It goes back to it's because you spend majority of the time there. And that's where you spend majority of your energy, your attention, your resources, right? And it's just as simple as that, right? You want to make sure that you're allocating it and spending in a way where most of your time is spent in a way in doing activities and spending time with people that really just light you up. Because at the end of the day, like that is what's going to have that long-term kind of lasting effect. So that's kind of why that's the primary reason is because you spend majority of the time there. But a lot of us, right? Like we're taught that you have to focus on that end destination, but there is no end destination, to be honest, because again, the goalposts will change, and end means like, not to get like morbid, but like it means death, right? So like there is never an end. It's just life is a process, and you constantly just go through it, and there's ups and downs, but ideally you would want to figure out how can you ride that wave to the best of your ability, so that when you're doing your best to stay positive, whether it's surrounding yourself with positive people, content, ideas, or whatever it is. And when it goes low too, like being again around people who can lift you up too, because like for me, like when I fell into depression, my closest friends and like the people that supported me were the people that really, really helped me. And running too. Yeah. For like 20 minutes a day, 15 to 20 minutes a day. And reading a book.
For that half marathon, right?
This is when I was like considering, like I never saw myself as a runner. When I started training for the half marathon, like after a mile, like I couldn't go further. So I was really either out of shape. I lifted weights, but like I was never a runner. But it's similar to you, right? I'm going to guess when you started running, it was really hard. And then like naturally you add maybe a half a mile like through the process, and then you get to like 2, 3, 4, 6. Hitting the 6 barrier was really tough for me personally. Like I failed, I think 2 to 3 times, but the 4th try or whatever, like it kind of worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, since you brought it up, I'll tell you a little more about my half marathon journey. I did this in 2018. So I signed up for a half marathon January 1st to run it in October. So January 2nd, gyms are open again. I went straight to the treadmill and ran 4 miles on the treadmill. And that was the most boringest thing I've ever done. Because it's just like, I'm there for like 40 minutes, 45 minutes or whatever, just like running. It's just like, it's just the same thing. And, when I was, running for the half marathon, like I said, it was in October, I trained a lot. January, February, March, I ran every weekend, and I just got busy with school. I got busy with work. And suddenly, September, I came back from vacation. I'm like, oh crap, I have a month left. And I have not been running the last 6 months. So I just went out and ran like 6 miles as I could during the weekend, because you can't train for a half marathon by running a half marathon. Like it's just so much time involved. But I think just by having that preparation, like and knowing I can get through 6 to 8 miles comfortably, and then showing up on the race day, and because there's just so many people there, there's so much excitement there, you just have this adrenaline going. And then when I was running the race, I just hit the wall around like mile 10, because my body was like, hey, you never ran this far ever in your life. What are you doing to yourself? But I committed to not walk any part of it. So I just kind of like slow jogged, did like about like a 11, 12 minute pace. And I was able to finish strong, just sprinted the last mile there. But yeah, no, it's definitely, you have that end goal with that finishing that half marathon, but it's that journey. Like you're fighting all these like inner demons and, pain and, stomach cramps and, like all the stuff going on. You have to be able to get through that. And that journey taught me a lot, about it's all up here. It's all about mindset, right? You have to look forward to that next mile, to that next milestone, and be able to, to finish the overall race.
Yes, I'm a big believer that everything is 80%. There's a saying 80% mindset and 20% strategy, or 80% psychology and 20% mechanics or whatever it is. And everything does come back to mindset, right? You can give two people the same strategy, yet one person will experience a very different outcome than the other. And it's because it's mindset. Yeah.
Yep. And then, hi, Abhishek from India. So we're presented here around the world. We have someone joining from South America. Joon's here in Korea. We got someone joining from India. So yeah, appreciate the worldwide support here.
You're so popular, Stephen.
Hey, no, it must be you. It must be you. I haven't had this many people from all around the world here. So kind of want to end on this question here. It's a tough one, but I think it's going to help our audience here just start developing that right mindset. When we went through a couple of coaching sessions last year, you asked me all these tough questions. So what are some questions to ask yourself on to help you develop that happy mindset? What are those tough questions that we need to answer?
So when it comes to, the first fundamental thing is like, what does happiness mean for you, right? And I think one of the best ways to do this is if no one was watching and you were just here by yourself, and you can sometimes just do it by closing your eyes and just really tuning everything out and really asking yourself, like, what would happiness look like for me? What would I want to do? And how would I want to spend my time and energy in relation to that, right? And each person will come up with a very different answer. It's just being reflective about it and just go into that with an open mind and just being curious and see what comes out of it. And honestly, whatever comes out of it, the most important thing is just to test it and see what comes out of it. Meaning, a lot of the times, like, I feel like we might be looking for that answer, and sometimes that one answer might come immediately. But having said that, clarity also comes through action, right? You don't know until you get in the game, and then you might get feedback, and you might actually realize that you find something that actually it makes you even like happier or feel more fulfilled, because now you are expanding your bubble and you see something beyond that. Right. So it's taking this moment to to reflect and ask yourself what that means for you specifically. But having said that, when it comes to just happiness, like, you can kind of either analogize it with like a math equation. I'm kind of getting a little nerdy here, but that's okay. A math equation, or like, let's say an orchestra, meaning there's different variables, like when it comes to happiness, right? And career, like let's say professional accomplishments might be one of them. And if you weigh all of your eggs in that basket, that's a very unhealthy way to, like, let's say, calculate, if you will, your happiness, right? And this goes to universal principles, right? There's different things that you can do. You can spend time on like your hobbies, or like with your friends, or whoever that lights you up. You can spend time doing things outside of work that allows you to hit that similar emotional target, right? So it's making sure that you understand there are different leverages that you can use. And honestly, like, it's the same thing as running a business too. There's different departments, and you can't give your attention only to one area. Each of them have to be integrated, and that's how you create like the best outcome. And same thing as the orchestra, right? You want them to play a beautiful music. All of them have to be in tune and in sync to create that for you. And everyone's very different, right? Like, you have to find something that works for you, and that's why it's an iterative process. So it's reflecting, and then really reflecting is the most important thing, right? Because that's when you start gaining awareness. A lot of the times, there's a saying, we are habitual creatures. 95% of what we do is habits. So we go through our days in a very similar routine. And when you do that, your life becomes very, very predictable. So that reflection point gives you that awareness. So it's asking these questions. And yeah, asking for yourself, like, what happiness and success means for you. I think a lot will come out of that.
Yeah, I remember you asked me those questions. I'm just like, Joon, why do you keep pushing this? Like, I don't know what the answer is. What does happiness mean to me, or what does success mean to me? But you touched on a great point there. It's a whole system, right? There's so many things involved. So, you can be super happy at work, but then if you're outside of work, you're not happy. it's not what you want, then you're just going to be stuck at work all the time because you don't want to go home, right? Or you don't want to be with friends. And then the vice versa is true, right? If you're happy during the weekends when you're not working, and then Monday morning comes around or Sunday night comes around, you're just like, oh my God, I have to go to work, and you're dreading it. You just flip your brain all the way around. So it's definitely a balance of having that happiness across everything you're involved in, right? Your work, your life, your friends, family, relationships, hobbies, things like that. So I definitely agree with you there. It's across the board. You can't just be happy in one specific thing. So,
and the big thing is practice gratitude. Gratitude.
Definitely.
It's going to change your life.
Yep. Great comment there, Maria. Happiness is different for each individual. So yeah, I think the major takeaway here, ask yourself, what does happiness mean to you, and what does success mean to you? And these are just really thought-provoking questions. As we wrap up here, Joon, I want to give you the floor. Is there anything you're working on? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to share with our audience here? I'm going to put your LinkedIn profile right here. Happy Joon Kim, very great LinkedIn URL. 10 out of 10 there. So make sure you connect with Joon. It's all about sharing positivity. But yeah, Joon, anything coming up? Anything you want to share or plug?
I mean, for me, I'm running my coaching business, but if you have any questions, always reach out. I'm always happy to chat and connect. And just a side note, I am working on something side related to education, so that's quite exciting. But that's separate from the coaching business, because the big dream is to change education to make it relevant. I'm just using coaching as a platform to allow that, or as a stepping stone to create the right opportunities. So that's kind of the side thing that's happening on the side. But I am probably targeting to launch a group soon, in mid this year. That's the goal, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, reach out if you have any questions. Happy to support in relation to whether it's time, overwhelm, burnout cycles, or just doing more or getting more effective with things. Because my big work is around mindset.
Yeah. So if you have any questions for Joon, you can leave in the comments, or you can connect with them right there. I just want to plug Joon right here. I had, I think, 2 or 3 Zoom calls with you last year, and man, you got me thinking. Right? You asked all these tough questions. At the time, I'm just like, man, Joon, why are you so harsh on me? But I mean, those were great thought-provoking questions that just made me really, really think, hey, am I focusing my attention on the right things? Do I have the right mindset on the things I'm working on there? So I can personally vouch for Joon. So, make sure you connect with them if you just need help, developing the right mindset there.
Appreciate you. And it's from a loving place, Stephen. You know that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if there aren't any more questions, just want to put a plug for next week. I have another international guest. I have Dr. Manpreet Kaur from India. So it's going to be a weird time for me. It's 7:30 p.m. Pacific, which is, I believe, 10 a.m. India time the next day. And we'll be talking about mental health. And so it's very ties in very well with our happy mindset here. So apologize for the phone there. First time this has happened in all my life, just the phone going off there. But make sure to come back next week. Go try again on the 2 Truths and a Lie. Connect with Joon there. And yeah, thank you again, Joon, for your time here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone that's tuning in. Really appreciate everyone's support. And yeah, hopefully you've learned a thing or two, and just reach out with any questions, whether it's Stephen or me. Yeah. So enjoy the rest of your happy Friday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hope you have something fun planned for the weekend. Sending you lots of good vibes, and talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, appreciate that, Joon. Yeah, so make sure connect with them, and thank you for joining me as a guest here. I know after we talked last year, we definitely built that great relationship. So I'm glad to have you as a guest for number 10 of my weekly LinkedIn Live series. So yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening if you're in the U.S. Have a good Saturday if you're anywhere else in the world, and have a great weekend as well, Joon. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good one.